Bored. I need a subject. I need a victim. Somebody to pester. Ha! Ha ha. Mind your cable. There we go. We're gonna get him. Excuse me, sir. Sir, excuse me. Hello? Hi. Minute of your time, please. Listen, do you believe in UFOs?
No.
Not any UFOs at all?
No.
One UFO?
No.
A little one?
No.
How about black magic, witchcraft?
No.
Pyramid power, mysticism?
No.
Tarot cards?
No.
Est?
No.
Buddhism?
No.
Do you hate black people?
Joe,
Yes?
you've done all of this before.
He's right. What am I going to do this week? They wanted to get me some beer because I thought I did a good job editing their highlight tape for this year's championship season. And I asked for some Dos Equis, and they remembered, oh, some Mexican beer. But I thought it might help me do my opening, because my last take, although you don't get to see it, was really bad. So we've devised every possible crutch to make sure that I'm funny. We're getting me wasted. We're giving me my potato chips so I don't take any awkward pauses. And Mark Audrain, although you can't see him, is poised in the corner with some little plastic balls, which he will shoot at me.
Except the gun doesn't work.
Oh, except he's having trouble with his equipment, but he's going to shoot it at me in the event that I should no longer be funny. Paul will shoot me with little plastic balls. It's sort of like my acting teacher, and yes, despite appearances, I did once study acting, once said that, he once said two things. Guys, calm down. All right. So, this week in Joe's Basement, we've decided to tackle the subject of animal navigation, which is our term for how people get where they're going. You know, or why people do what they do. Excuse me. You know, I mean, why do any of us do what we do? Why do I do a television show called This Week in Joe's Basement where I never get paid any money? I stay up all night editing it. And what do I get for it? I get these two guys sitting in the corner shooting little plastic balls at me because we can't think of anything funny for me to do. You know, why do I do that? Why do I do anything else that I do? Why do any of us do what we do? So, we went out into the real world and we tried to find out, one, why do people do what they do? Why do people do their jobs and stuff? And a segue to find out heroes, whether people have heroes, you know, and if so, who they are. And bigger issues like God and the church and ways in which man seeks to better himself. Pretty weighty stuff, even for public access, especially for public access. Anyway. Well, all right, so we got some mail this week I want to respond to before we get on with the festivities. First of all, as regular viewers of this show know, we will respond by reading in full any letter that we get in the mail. We will somehow present it on the air, anything we get. So I'm going to put this is the viewer mail address. I'm going to put it on the screen and leave it up here while I read the mail. And please feel free to write it down at any time. It won't be that interesting. You can't just write something down. And anything you write to us, we will respond to it somehow on the show. So, in that vein, this week, our first letter we got was from Andrea Morgan, who gives her address. And she writes, Dear Joe, every time I see you on your show, my body explodes with goose pimples, and I get very horny. When I see you, my God, you're so hot. Your wit and charm overwhelm me. My measurements are 36, 26, 36, and I watch you over and over to fill all my sexual fantasies. Please, Joe, I would love you to talk dirty to me on the air. I love you. Look for my visit. Look for my visit. You'll be very surprised. Love and a big heart, Andrea Morgan. P.S. Who has a bigger dick, you or Mark? How'd you think I got to be host? All right. Our next one. It was a struggle, I can tell you. All right, our next letter here comes from Jason, who does not wish to give his last name or his address. So what he's done to see to that is he's written it on the envelope, then subsequently blacked it out with a black marker. And Jason, as you'll see, also has some romantic yearnings, and he writes as follows. What's up, Joe? I think your show is straight, but sometimes it gets boring. I haven't seen your show for almost 2 months because my aunt slept on the couch that is in the living room where the TV is at. But I finally seen your show on November 6th because I kicked her ass out of the house. Well, I'm wondering if you can help me find the perfect girl for me. I've tried it with other girls, but it never works out. Hopefully the perfect girl will respond to my letter. I want a girl that is pretty, nice, and respectful to me. I don't care about her race, but she must be perfect for me. I'm described as follows. 1. I'm supposed to have more. I'm described as follows. 1. I'm 18 years old. 2. I'm Mexican. 3. I'm 5'5". 4. And I weigh 150 pounds. Well, I want to hear from girls who are looking for the perfect guy like me. Thanks, Joe, and keep up the good work, Jason. P.S. I'll write you some other time. Well, Jason, I think we got somebody for you to look up, but that's Miss Andrea Morgan at 8511 West Gregory, Chicago, 60657. I think you two might hit it off. You're both very direct. Let's put it that way. Shit. Another letter here. Here we go. All right. Well, our last letter for this week's rather raucous viewer mail section is a 3x5 index card which reads, Dear Basement of Joe. Dear Basement of Joe. Monday, December 16th. Your show seemed pretty lame, as usual. Especially the bearded female. Ha ha, not. It was really boring until the crazy gas station guy appeared. Yay! Hugh Moore. He is hilarious. A breath of fresh air. Joe, you should feature yourself and this Hugh guy doing stuff. You two would make quite an amusing team. Lose the other losers. Joe times Hugh equals big laughs. We want more. More Hugh Moore for humor. Hurrah for Hugh, signed his fan club of 3 so far. Well, gee, with a recommendation like that, how can I turn him down? Guess we gotta have more Hugh with a request like that. So, all right, on with the business of this week's show, animal navigation, how people get to where they're going and beyond. Well, whatever, animal navigation. Anyway, so the start of our dialogue, we tried to find out about heroes, both on Earth and elsewhere. No, that was last week. We tried to find out about people's heroes and what they get from religion and other things this week in Joe's Basement, animal navigation. Oh, is that like a 20-minute opening? Oh, thank you.
Find the bottle opener.
Oh, I've got one. I've got one here.
Oh, he's got it.
La 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 la. ...1978. I hear about this job, high-paying job, at least for me at the time, at a bottling plant. I go over there, I walk up to the foreman, he's standing on the loading dock smoking a cigarette, kind of a squinty-eyed, nasty-looking white guy. He's just, he projects sort of dissatisfaction all the time. He's standing there smoking a cigarette with one of his cronies. So I go up and I say, I heard you got an opening, or you will soon, when I'd be interested, I'll do this, I'll do that, blah, blah, blah. I sell myself, I get the job, I make the money, I'm feeling real good about it. Then in the middle of this, I find out that when I got done talking to him, this guy turns to his crony, young kid who drank himself to death at the age of 23, 24, mostly while he was on the job. He turned to this guy and he says, I just hired a Puerto Rican. That ought to keep the niggers happy. Now, this kind of thing has always followed me around. As early as 1976, I had been involved in soccer at my high school. Then a few years after I graduated, they got a varsity team together there. And I helped out, coached the freshmen for a while. The fellow who was the varsity coach himself, a football player who had no knowledge about soccer, was very pleased with the fact that I was a soccer player and I was willing to help out with the coaching of this team. He suggested that I take a job at the high school teaching biology, and I pointed out to him that I didn't really have much of a background teaching biology or anything like that. So it could be a problem. He said, hey, all you got to do is read one day ahead of the kids and you just conduct your class. That's what I did. It made me feel real good about the education I'd received there. That was 1976. We jump all the way up until 1986. Next time I tried to get a job was 1986. I go to an interview at Latino Youth, and I go for the interview, and I'd heard that they had an opening for an intake counselor. So I go over there and I ask the guy, I'd like to find out what goes with this job of being an intake counselor. And this guy who's conducting the interview, he's the executive director of Latino Youth, a fine organization here, but these words came from his mouth, this cannot be denied, asked me, so you're not interested in interviewing for the position of assistant to the executive director of the organization? I thought that was kind of funny, in as much as if I was there asking about the one, it probably would not be likely that I'd be qualified for the other. But he did ask me that. Fortunately, I managed to avoid that pitfall. 1990, I started acting on the North Side. Now, you may not believe this. It may be hard for you to believe as I'm saying this. I get miscast a lot. I get miscast a hell of a lot, and I resent it. 1990, I went through a whole spate of being the Latino symbol of evil in Chicago. Because I was over 6 feet tall, and because these plays dealt with immigration, discrimination, all kinds of issues that we as Latinos have to face. Because I was over 6 feet tall, I kept on being cast as a prison guard or as the police captain or all these very repressive sorts of people. And I kind of resented that because as an actor, I figured that I could probably, cut it as the cutie pie or the love interest or the guy that gets to kiss the girl, that kind of thing. But instead, all I got was to throw the girl in jail or kill her. And that takes a toll on you. It takes a psychological toll on an individual. I won't do that anymore unless I get paid big money for it. And that takes us all the way up to 1991. A couple of weeks ago, got called to do a translation for a major pipe cutting company. That is to say, they manufacture machines that cut pipes. They cut pipes that are 26 feet in diameter for sewers, for storm drains, for that kind of thing. And they want to start going to the third world and making a killing. So they need someone to translate their sales pitch for their video from English into Spanish. And I got the job, and basically the reason that I got the job, as far as I can tell, is because I was the only Latino at the talent agency that they came to. So I found myself, once again, trying to live up to expectations that I personally had a hard time justifying because of the level of preparation which I had. That's 1976 all the way to 1991. That's 15 years, more or less, of being asked to do things that I'm not really qualified or eager to do. And the reaction to that, I think you do the same thing, is you just go back to doing what you do best. La da da, la da da da. Pretty good, huh? La da da, la da da da. La da 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 da.
I'm interested in when you decided to become a mailman and what education you've had prior to that.
Well, I'm trying to think when I decided. It was just sort of a spur-of-the-moment thing, and the years went by, and now I'm a mailman. It's just sort of something that I kind of blundered into. Probably, as for my educational background, I was a student here at the University of Chicago and had more or less an orthodox graduate training. Nothing out of the ordinary. I just took the normal courses that were being offered while I was here. And
How do you like being a mailman?
it depends on the weather. 70 degrees in July, it's fantastic. 20 below in January, it's awful. And obviously the work is very simple. You learn it within 10 minutes. I defy anyone not to know how to be a mailman within 10 minutes' time. Anyone. So obviously the good and bad are a function of the volume of the mail and the weather. It's primarily the weather. The better the weather, the better the job. The worse the weather. So,
I like it. I like the exercise because I like to walk. So I like it.
Reasonably mellow job. Most mailmen I talk to are pretty mellow.
Yeah, it's really, within this area, plus it's heavier. The mail is heavier here. So, it's mellow. It's no problem. I like dealing with the public, too, so
That's cool.
it's no problem.
Here you go. So our big question for this week is, who is your hero?
Michael Jordan.
How come?
I like the way he played basketball. That's my guy. I like the way he shoot, and I like the way he carries himself.
Like the way he carries himself in public?
Yes, very well, very well.
Who was your hero when you were little?
That's a good question. Who was my hero when I was little? That I can't recall. I really didn't actually have a hero when I was little. I guess as I got about 14, 15 years old, I was really into basketball, so I really didn't pinpoint no hero right then and there.
What do you look for in a hero? Somebody to emulate? Do you want to try to be like Michael Jordan, or?
No, I don't think so. No.
Haven't got quite the same moves, huh?
Right. No. I wouldn't mind trying, though.
Our heroes,
Yeah.
Vietnam vets, Operation Desert Storm heroes.
Yeah?
That's it.
Were you ever in the Army?
Never have been.
But it's a good thing we have them, huh?
Excuse me?
But it's a good thing we have, people to go over there and do that then.
Oh, yeah. Real good.
How about your friend there? Excuse me, sir. Hi. Who are your heroes?
Who are my heroes?
Yeah.
My dad.
Yeah? That's a good one.
He's gone though, God rest his soul.
Okay,
Now it's just me.
Your dad and then you?
Now my dad's gone. Now it's
Right.
just me. Now I'm the hero.
Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
There you go. As a little boy, were there heroes too?
Ambulance 38, you have a seizure in the Woodlawn house at 6101 Evans. 6101 Evans.
6101.
Right, 39-year-old male seizure.
39-year-old male seizure.
Right.
Thirty-eight. 6101 Evans. 39-year-old with a seizure. Oh boy.
What channel is this for? Channel 19, cable. 19?
Channel 19 cable. My dad. That's my real hero.
How about C. Everett Koop?
How come?
Because he had he put his duty before his own personal beliefs, and he stood for things that he in his personal life he didn't stand, he wouldn't have done, but he thought that his duty superseded that, and he followed that, unlike George Bush and other people.
So what makes a hero to you?
It's a sandwich. A hero is just a sandwich. I wrote that for my college essay. They asked me what a hero was. I said it's a sandwich.
So listen, our question for the day is who is your hero?
I'm not sure that I have one. I suppose I'd have to say God. Everyone else is too fallible. I wouldn't want to slip into someone else's failings. So people I respect would be the usual, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, but there are probably a lot of people I should respect, but I don't.
Like who?
Well, the thing is, I don't respect them, and that's the problem. I don't know who they are. I wouldn't want to get stuck with particular heroes because I might not see their failings. And I suppose the point of a hero is someone to emulate, as well as someone to help you respect yourself. Because if they were a human being and if they did amazing stuff, then you're a human being and maybe you can do amazing stuff too.
Well, given all this now, why did you choose God? Certainly the one figure you could never hope to emulate, right?
Oh no, you can emulate him. You just can't be him. You can reach for that, but you can't ever get there. And at the same time, you can't ever get to a point where you've run out of something to look up to. You never get to a point where you're going to follow someone into a mistake. Although, of course, there isn't a hell of a lot of communication from up there. But the idea is there.
The gift that keeps on giving, so to speak.
The gift that keeps on giving. The role model that keeps on rolling. It's.
So how do you go about emulating God? Are you of any particular religion?
No, I'm not.
You're not atheist, though, of course.
No, I'm not. Well.
You're not agnostic.
Well, I'm kind of agnostic. I mean, if God chooses not to exist, that's his decision. I can still pray to him. And I still think it's useful. Believe very fundamentally that it's useful.
Yeah, so who's your hero?
Matisse.
Explain.
Okay. Here's a man, a genius, who had not just one burst of creativity in his lifetime, but 2 or 3 real genuine periods of sustained creativity. That, I think, is probably the highest goal I would ever want to achieve, is that idea of creativity. Sort of cliche, but I think it's the only thing we have going for us now. You know, we're so. I'm just shocked at the young people today who have no values and who, sorry, but they have no sense of the other. You know, and I think artists are very aware of that and have a good sense of seeing communities of things, relationships of things, and the other.
So you don't have any particular heroes, although there's some artists which you admire?
There are some artists I admire. There's people in all fields that I admire. If I say that I admired one above the other, then I kind of see that I'm putting that whole field as a very sort of specialist field. That there's I admire my auntie, you know, but no one else knows who she is.
Did you have any heroes when you were little?
I think when you're young, you have lots of heroes, and they're mostly pop idols. I mean, I had a lot of American heroes as well as a few Australian heroes, and we're brought up in a culture that's supposed to look towards heroes as role models. But I don't see a lot of role models out there. I think they're just sort of in there for what they can get for themselves.
Why do you think atheism's so in vogue these days?
I don't rightly know. I'm not sure. Someone's probably figured that one out. Perhaps because of the world that we've built around us with technology that we've built, you need reason a lot more in order to get around. And people are fooled into thinking that it's purely rational. There's been so many scientific advances, or so many logical advances just in the organization of society, that that people think that we're going to progress so far that we won't need anything aside from the rational. And people tend to rely completely on it, like a crutch, like this fence. And
there's a crutch right now. Yeah.
Yes.
So people who are creatively innovative are your heroes.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so many people who fit into that category.
Yeah, but not somebody like Picasso, who was such a rampant asshole, you know, that you sort of like, you know, stop and think. The guy used up women and threw them out and destroyed them so that he could create, and that to me is not heroism. It's a kind of easy talent, the kind of easy confidence that comes with inborn talent, but that he didn't, was unearned, and that's to me is cheap. And so there's a difference. I wouldn't.
So to be merely talented but lack personal dignity is
exactly. You have to have integrity, and you have to be able to say no to yourself, and he just couldn't. Poor fellow.
I know you're here. I'm wondering what you think of religion.
Which one?
Well, you're standing across the street from a Mormon church. You know anything about that?
Nothing other than they have some program on TV all the time, like 4 o'clock in the morning is always a saying, you know, be good to your kids and don't do drug commercials. I watch that on, you know, if I'm up that late in the morning. Other than that, I know nothing about the church.
Some people say they don't like black people. You ever heard anything about that?
No, never heard anything about that.
Oh, that's good. I think they've changed their tune a bit these days.
Really? I've never heard nothing like that. Seriously, I'm Catholic, and I don't know what that. If they're a part of Catholic religion or if they're just another denomination altogether, but I've never heard they don't like blacks or they don't like minorities. I mean, that's new to me.
Usually religion, I suppose, isn't used the way I use it, which is, of course, the right way.
Which, again, to summarize, you use it to get you through day to day, to have something to strive for?
Yes, and to try to keep myself a good person without going crazy, and without deluding myself.
How do you think people delude themselves if they don't have religion?
People want to be good people instead of to do good things, and if you want to be a good person, you're going to fail because of original sin or because of whatever. People fail at that. If you want to be a good person, you're going to obscure your flaws. If you want to do good things, you'll do good things, but that's a hard thing to hold on to. Because good things, I mean good actions, you just can't grab that and say, I've got one.
So perhaps pure rationality leads to a form of narcissism where each person has to be their own God figure, so to speak, has to be perfect.
You could say everyone believes in God, only for some of them it's their wives, and for some of them it's their parents, and for some of it it's themselves, and for some of them it's Euclid. But everyone, perhaps on a level, everyone believes in that.
So where do you go from here?
Who knows? Probably home to dinner.
How about in the long run, though?
Well, in the long run, as Kane said, we're all dead. So, prefer not to think about that. I would prefer to think about UFOs.